Let's do it.
We're live. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. And it'll be happier if I check and make sure UAB covered.
They did, right?
Damn straight they did. Let's go. I needed that.
Yeah,
I needed that. All right. So UAB gets the cover for me. So obviously we're running through the NBA. We got 8 games on the board. It's not the most exciting night for NBA. I'm sure the time of the year is part of it. Most of the attention is on March Madness, and there's a lot of injury question marks, and there's a lot going on. But I do have some bets down, so let's run through it. So first up, and we're starting off. I passed on the first 2 games, so we're starting off with Celtics minus 14 at Detroit. So my bet's for sale. If you guys got something you want to sell me on, I might be down to tail. Let me see if there's an updated injury report on this. But that was what was holding me up here. Oh, my God. Brown, Tatum, Horford, Porzingis, all questionable for the Celtics. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming you guys passed on this as well.
Go ahead, Finesse.
Yeah, I did not. I probably should have. Before we get started, Kyle, if you don't mind, appreciate you having me on again. Last time I was on here, I kind of did a whole spiel at the beginning, but I didn't know my man Chris was going to be on the show. You sent a tweet earlier, and I saw Chris going to be on the show, and it just made me think about like a full circle type of moment. You know what I'm saying? I used to watch Source, 2.5, 3 years ago before I started this shit. I used to listen to Chris and be a fan of Chris before I started this shit. So just super grateful, and I thought it was like a surreal moment. You know what I'm saying? So, without Chris, there's no me. I tell Chris that all the time. I just wanted to kind of give him his flowers publicly, and one of the hardest working, nicest people in the game. So, happy to be on the show with this panel. It's amazing to me. So,
appreciate it.
Anyways, with all that shit aside, I didn't skip on this game. I like Cade in this game. Problem is, I was too pushed to take a regular line. There's a couple of concerns. Obviously, blowout, not really knowing who's playing and stuff like that. So I took Cade 15 plus points. I paired that with the Celtics money line and the Lakers money line. A little 3-leg parlay was minus 125 on DraftKings. I like that. Cade's points line was 20 or 19 and a half, something like that last night. I don't mind that. I think it's a great matchup for Cade. Obviously, for most of the season, you target guards versus Celtics. I think it's a good matchup for his play style, right? The Celtics like to switch everything, let guys play one-on-one, and that's perfect for Cade. Obviously, it's tough defenders on the floor, but we're already without Drew Holiday. We should be without probably 1 or 2 more pieces, which obviously, makes scoring easier on the offensive side for the Pistons. So, I like Cade. Obviously, Celtics been giving up a lot of points to the guards position, especially point guards, giving up a lot of mid-range opportunities, 3-point opportunities, which I think is all good for Cade. So, Cade is obviously the main piece of this. We'll talk about the Lakers later. Celtics money line, I think, is free. Doesn't matter, who you have on the floor, I think. So I like that. Only thing I have for this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to lay 14 with all those injuries, all those injury question marks. Someone in the chat said Celtics first half, and I think Ski's been cashing on those Celtics first halves on the road, if I'm not mistaken. I don't play the first halves much, but I'm pretty sure I've heard him say a number of times that Celtics first half on the road have been crazy. You know what? I could probably pull it up real quick.
Yeah, especially versus winning teams. We've been destroying teams in the first half.
Oh, that's right. You're a Boston fan. I forgot about that. I remember the Bo Sox.
Best ATS team in the league, specifically on the road. Both, but 27-7 first half ATS is Boston in the first half. So it's just a wagon. You just continue to ride it. I don't even know if it's actually not cashed in like the last 5 or 6 games, because they definitely covered against the Bucks, because I was on them against the Bucks as well. And they covered in the game before. I think it was Detroit. They were up by like 15, 20 points against Detroit as well. So, The other thing to mention as well, Kyle, is that Detroit just shut a couple guys down as well. There's no Quentin Grimes in this game. Fontecchio's out. Isaiah Stewart's done for the season, and Deshaun Thompson are all done for the season as well. So that makes Finesse's Cade look even more stronger, because if he's not scoring the ball and you don't have him and Jaden Ivey, who else is really scoring the ball? Evan Fournier, that makes a lot of sense. To like Cade in this spot. I was actually looking towards Detroit team total under here, fellas, and I didn't play it, but that was the way I was looking, just because it's not the greatest spot for them either. Boston, not in the greatest spot, but Detroit, they don't have a great spot. They're 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games, including 6 straight. They've actually been held under their team total in 5 straight games. They got outscored. What was it, 121 to 103 against the Indiana Pacers? This Boston defense is better than light years better than the Indiana Pacers defense. And if you score 103 against them, a team that plays a lot faster, Boston plays a lot slower. I could see them not, getting to 100 points in this game, especially without Fontecchio and without Grimes out there to be able to kind of spread the floor. So that's the way I lean, but I didn't play anything on this one, fella.
Yeah, I mean, gun to my head, as crazy as it sounds, I probably would still take Boston if you forced me to take a side. The competitive magic we were seeing from Detroit a couple months back, I haven't sniffed that in a while. Doesn't seem like they're really keeping these games close. So I'd lean Boston, but nothing for me. Poll definitely is leaning towards the Celtics. 59%, 27% in favor of Boston. So community definitely leaning towards the Celtics here. Next up, Oklahoma City, Toronto. Talk about the ultimate, what the hell are you supposed to – are you supposed to lay 17 points on the road with a team that has the worst record against the spread in the NBA in the last 10? Oklahoma City is now 2-8 against the spread in their last 10. I believe it's 1-7 in their last 8. This team is not covering the number, and they're giving us what may be the biggest road line of the season. I don't know if there's been any road team laying 17 this year so far, with a team that's just not covering. So how do we not blindly take the Raptors here? That being said, the reason I haven't blindly take the Raptors, Oklahoma City is 2-8 against the spread in the last 10, like I said. Worst in the league. They're actually tied with the Raptors, who are also 2-8 against the spread of their last 10. So they keep giving Toronto these huge numbers, and they keep getting blown out. We just saw, who was that? The Kings. The Kings, who can't beat anyone as big favorites. They went to Toronto and beat them by 40, 50 points. So this Toronto team, they're just like Chris was saying about the Pistons shutting a couple guys down, seems like the entire Toronto roster has been shut down here. No Barnes, no Barrett, no Boucher, no DJ Carton, no Jakob Poeltl, no Emmanuel Quickley, all out. I believe, I forget which one of you sent it in, but I believe Prop Beaver made a Kelly Olynyk prop. So I know one of you is on Olynyk. Who's on Olynyk? Take the mic.
Yeah, I mean, so as you asked what to do with 17-point favorites, you take unders. You know what I'm saying? You take unders. So we on Kelly Olynyk under 27.5 PRA. I made a little bit of money on him during his Raptors run. He's yet to play super deep minutes with the Raptors for one reason or another. Obviously blowouts, but also just usage too, even with all these injuries. So I don't expect a shit ton of minutes. He's not a guy that's going to play 38, 40 minutes. Obviously, blowout potential. There's so many different ways to go under this line. Foul trouble, I think, could be a thing for him. Obviously, OKC likes to drive a lot. They like to operate in the paint and stuff like that. So Olynyk could find himself in foul trouble. And he's just not getting the usage. Even with full minutes, I think he took like 7 shots in 28 minutes last game. So he's just not, even with the injuries, he's just not a full part of the offense. I'm looking at, watching Raptors games, I'm looking at plays getting ran for Bruce Brown before Kelly Olynyk. You know what I'm saying? So under 27.5 PRA, I think is a great number. Obviously, the hit rate is incredible for this under. Couple areas where the Thunder really locked down defensively. They used to be a terrible rebounding team. A couple weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, they were really struggling with rebounding. Now over the last 10 games, all of a sudden they're a top 10 team in terms of opponent rebounds, which I like. They really shut down the mid-range game where Olynyk likes to work. So yeah, I don't expect a lot of production offensively for Olynyk. I was looking at under rebounds and assists alone, which is 13.5, I think. I don't mind that, but yeah, 27.5 PRA, so many ways to go under this line. Hopefully it's a blowout, but even if he gets his full allotment of 28, 30 minutes, I think he ends somewhere, 22 to 24 PRA. So that's enough cushion for me.
So Kelly Olynyk under. Okay.
Gotta love it.
You doing anything in this game, Chris?
Yeah, I sent you the graphic for the Toronto team total under.
I think that's how you
play it, just like Finesse said, right? Like, you mentioned it, Kyle. Like this team isn't. I mean, they're not serious about playing basketball anymore. All the injuries that you look at the starting lineup. I don't think they got one guy out there that was on the team at the beginning of the season, and it's a wash right now. OKC eventually is going to get back to playing some really good defense, I guess, eventually. But even if they don't, we just saw this team struggle to score against Sacramento, another fast-paced team. Same exact thing. And I've been cashing on this one continuously, Kyle. I think I played it twice this week in both of the Toronto games. I'm not sure how they get to 108 points with the lineups that they've tried out. They've actually failed to cover their team total 4 straight games. The last 2, they actually failed to crack 100. They didn't even get 100 points. OKC's defense, it has not been the greatest lately. They're 27th in opponent effective field goal percentage over the last 2 weeks, but they are playing against the worst offense that we've probably seen in quite a while. Toronto's bottom 10 in all the important offensive metrics, points scored per 100 possessions, effective field goal percentage, rebounding rate, all of those different things. And one thing that OKC is doing a little bit better job of is not fouling. OKC is fouling. Toronto don't even draw fouls. They just shoot a bunch of shots at the three-point line. They try to get to the paint, but OKC's defense has been a little bit better there over the last 2 weeks. And the other thing they're doing, they're shooting a bunch of shots. Just shooting a bunch of shots in the paint. They also, Kyle, I know you talk about this a lot on your show. Toronto likes to get out and run. OKC is one of the best teams in the league.
That's what I was going to
say. Just like Sacramento, right? It's stopping teams from getting out and running. So, I debated it for a while, but I said, I'll just pull the trigger. I don't know how many OKC scores, but I don't think they will need to score too many just because Toronto's offense is really, really bad. So give me Toronto team total under in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, what you said makes a lot of sense. And looking at these Toronto offensive numbers, that's the most pitiful thing I've ever seen. And what you said about Oklahoma City's transition defense is spot on. The only thing the Raptors have done consistently well this whole year is run the fast break, but probably not going to be there against the Thunder. The only problem I would have with any sort of under would be the pace. But, yeah, you know what? I'll put mine up. I'll co-sign this bet. I'm not going to bet it, but I'll put the same thing up as you. That probably is the way I would go. You made some good points, and I think I would tail you on that if I was to bet this game. A lot of people click pass. We got 39%, 35% in favor of Thunder. So it's pretty split as far as picking a side against the spread. 25% click pass, though. Now let's get to some games where I actually have a chance of watching. Pelicans Heat, and this was a discussion last night in the Discord. We went back and forth on this one for a while. I still don't even know what side I would really take. I guess I would lean towards New Orleans if I had to pick a side, but I did place a bet in the game. I took the full game under. I got it at 210. I think it's at 209.5 now. You on the same thing? There we go. All right, so I'm on the under here. I got, so I got it at 210. It's at 209.5 now. So just some quick points of why I'm here. I mean, at this point, the way the Heat have been playing, I shouldn't even need to give you a pitch for betting the under in a Heat game. It's hit at like 80% in the last month and a half. But so what do the Heat do well defensively? They protect the basket. They protect the interior. Not that New Orleans can't score via jump shot, but the strength of their offense comes on the interior. And with no Brandon Ingram, it's going to be even more so reliant on scoring on the interior. Tough to go on the road to Miami and score on the interior in the paint or at the rim. So that they should struggle there. Fast break's not going to be there for either team. Miami's got an elite fast break defense. Pelicans don't even really run the fast break, but they're certainly not going to be able to run it here. And then Miami on the other side doesn't run the fast break, period. So I don't expect to see many possessions in transition here. Not going to be second chance points on either side. Both teams have the significant rebounding edge on the defensive side. Miami, an elite defensive rebounding team, so I don't expect offensive rebounds for New Orleans. And then on the other side, Miami never cleans the offensive glass, so not going to be second chance points, not going to be foul shots. Both defenses have the big free throw edge as well. And then this one doesn't really mean too much to me, but I threw a note at the end. Pelicans are in a back-to-back, maybe less inclined to sprint up and down the court, probably would like to play more of a half-court game. That's thin, though. That's thin. I just had it written down at the end there. But I think the under's the play. I mean, unders in Heat games are hitting at such an insane rate that, yeah, it should just be like, hey, it's the Heat, I'm taking the under, and you guys should be like, sounds good. But, yeah, I'm on the under here, and it sounds like Chris agrees with me.
Yeah, you said a lot of the things I was going to say as well. I think that the only thing that you didn't mention is that when I was looking at it, I was like, the Pelicans don't run the fast break. They're a top 10 offensive team in the half court. But Miami's a top 10 defensive team in the half court. Like that's the bread and butter, right? And I think without Ingram, this team will struggle as well. The mid-range shot, Kyle, we talk a lot about shot zones. that long mid range is something that the Pelicans really do well. Offensively, they take a lot of shots at the mid range, and I think a 10th in frequency, 2nd in accuracy over the last 2 weeks. But a lot of that is Brandon Ingram,
right.
And that's the only advantage that they actually had against this Miami defense, because Miami's not really good against the long mid range shot. But outside of that, I mean, you mentioned a lot of it. The other thing to mention too, Kyle, I don't know if you guys remember this, but when these two teams played earlier this season, the game was in New Orleans on February 23rd. The Pelicans went in there, the Miami Heat went in there and beat them 106-95 as a 2-point dog. CJ McCollum left that game with an injury, and that was the game that they got the chirping. Jimmy Butler was chirping after the game, saying that they're gonna beat them next game.
Oh,
they're
shit.
soft. Like, you remember that? Like, so it's gonna be some added.
Didn't Ingram sit out that game as well? I think Ingram sat out that game as well. I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah. The last thing I'll mention, Kyle, the head-to-head matchup is 8-2 to the under as well. So give me the under. I'm right there with you.
Couple picks for the under. FDB, what you on?
Yeah, I like so much in this game. It's kind of fucking ridiculous. I'm on Zion under 26.5 points. It's 25.5, and a lot of places now I would pair that with one of the big favorite money lines, like a OKC money line, get you a juice reducer. But it's been a common thing for the Heat. I think Heat present a lot of difficulties for a guy like Zion. Obviously, the Heat like to try to shut down number one option as much as they can. We just saw they held Darius Garland in check. They held Cade Cunningham in check twice in back-to-back nights. They held Jokic and Murray in check, which is obviously really, really tough to do, even though they lost that game. But they like to do that. They obviously Bam is gonna play, which was big for this under. Kind of patrolling the paint. You look at the numbers versus centers and power forwards. I think they're a little bit misleading. They've let a couple of big games up to big men, but I think especially no BI on the court. A lot of attention is going to be on Zion. Bam kind of patrolling the paint. You guys like the under. I think it's a slower pace under game as well. Not a lot of possessions. I like Zion under. You guys mentioned the game that they played. He only scored 23 points. I think he shot like 9 for 22, 9 for 23 in that game, and that was without BI. So just going to show the amount of attention they put on Zion in that game. So I like it. Even with BI, even with no BI, I'm sorry. He's not covering this number. It's a big number. It's a big number. We see it trending down right now. So, market's on my side as well. So I like that. I also been fading Jonas Valanciunas the last couple of games, and I think I'm gonna do it again. His points is 9.5. It's not open on old books, so I'm seeing if I can maybe get a cheeky little 10.5, under 10.5 points. I like that. I think this is a much better stylistic matchup for a guy like Larry Nance coming off the bench, which is what he's been doing. He's been coming off the bench, playing a shit ton of minutes. Jonas is just not getting minutes. He's getting played off the floor a lot. It looks like he's capped at around 16, 18 minutes. So not only are the minutes not there, slow pace game, low total, Bam patrolling the paint, very tough on centers. So I'll probably get there with a Jonas. I might take under 9.5 points, but I'm going to hold out, try to get a 10.5. I also like Caleb Martin threes. I won't dive too much into that. I've been talking too much already, but obviously the Heat are hurt. They need 3-point shooters. Whenever Caleb is getting his minutes and getting his opportunity, whether starting or coming off the bench, he's usually at least chucking them. He's not the hottest guy from three right now, but he's still chucking them up. So 1.5 threes is minus 115. I think that's great value. Pelicans like to allow a ton of threes, a ton of catch and shoot threes. So I like the matchup for Caleb Martin as well.
Nah, I mean, you don't got to rush yourself. There's only 8 games. It's the 12, 13 game slates where we got to keep it moving. It's whatever.
And it's only about 4 good ones, guys.
Yeah, for real. And I passed on 4 of them shits. But to your point about Zion, I know Prop Beaver always says Miami Heat have excellent under hit rates to their opponent leading scorers too. So that plays into that as well. All right, so someone asked who I would take. So I guess gun to my head, if I had to take a side, I guess I'd say probably Heat -3, but there's no chance I bet that. I got it in the under at 210. I'm comfortable there. Just rocking with that.
Kyle, real quick, I'm sorry. It's in the graphic. It's the only thing that reminded me. I played Zion double too at plus. It was like plus 280. I guess it's down to plus 260 now. I think he can get there with assists or rebounds. So I think that's great value. I know a couple people taking stabs at triple-double. I'm cool off that right now. I'll just take the double-double. I think it's very mispriced.
All right, so Zion under points, but double-double. And me and Chris both like the under. Let's move to the next one. Thanks for the kind words, Michael Lee. Next up, we got Memphis, San Antonio. Grizzlies +6. Spurs -6. And when I tell you I was trying to get on the Spurs here, I was putting a valiant effort in. I was looking at some deep dives. I couldn't get there. I know the obvious choice is like, hey, big number like 6 between two teams like this, take the Grizzlies. But I want to get to the Spurs. That's where I want to be. Can either of you sell me on that? I'm not there. That's where I want to get to. Either you guys have anything for this one?
Chris?
I can't sell you on the Spurs laying multiple possessions. Absolutely not, Kyle.
Yeah.
But don't let me talk you off if that's how you feel. I looked into this game, man, and one thing that jumped out to me, Kyle, because typically when I see Memphis on the board, I'm like, okay, that's the game I'm taking off. I mean, the injury report is always like, 15 players long. This is the own team. They do have the rest advantage. I say that Memphis 1 day rest, Thursday road game, 4-game road trip, 4-game losing streak. They have gone over 4 straight games, and that's because of their lack of defense. Like Memphis defense is really falling off a cliff. So I'll give you that, Kyle. San Antonio 2 days rest, 6 straight home game of an 8-game homestand. So they've been at the crib chilling. First leg of a back-to-back. They got Phoenix tomorrow. So no idea what to do with the game after that, Kyle. I wanted to get there with the points. I was like, why is a team that has less than 15 wins this late into the season laying this amount of points? And it was something that I wanted to SDQL and just quite didn't get a chance to today. But yeah, I mean, the number, it is what it is for a reason. I think the injury report we definitely got to talk about. I don't think Desmond Bane's been ruled out yet, but I saw him listed as doubtful. There's no Luke Kennard. I think Jared Jackson Jr. is in. I have no idea what to do with this game, though, Kyle. So I'm gonna be quiet and pass it to Finesse.
I actually found something I like. Go ahead, though, Finesse.
Yeah, I can't convince you anything either. This number screams Spurs. It's the most Spurs number you could fucking get. Laying 6 points. The Spurs in this economy in 2024.
In this economy?
Crazy. That shit is crazy. So yeah, I kind of want to take the points because I don't think San Antonio should be -6 against us 3 on the court with maybe B in there and somebody else. But yeah, total pass for me. Like Chris said, injury report's too long. I'm not interested in any props, so just a pass.
Hold on, I just placed the bet. I'm sending a screenshot and putting it on the screen now. I wish there was a way to quickly. That's the only bet if I have a PC. But if I had a Mac, that'd be the benefit. I could just quickly get something from my phone to the computer. I have to literally email it to myself, which is kind of annoying. But here it is. All right, so this is what I just placed, and I'm not going to come out and be like, oh, I love it, but I actually like the matchup for the Spurs defense, which is not something you've heard said a lot this year, and it's just the way they've been playing recently. I have the Spurs defensive numbers open right here, so I know that they've been playing elite defense against the three-point shot. That's been for 10, 15 games now, but look at the frequency numbers. In the last 5 games, just 32% of Spurs opponent shot attempts are coming from 3, meaning they are pressuring the shit out of the perimeter and forcing you to come inside and score on them in the interior. And now for normal teams, I'd be like, hey, okay, they'll go inside and score on the Spurs in the interior. But I don't think Memphis is the team to do that. The only bright spots we've seen all year from Memphis offensively has been shooting the 3, especially with all these injuries. That's basically how they've been covering numbers, is they keep hitting those above the break 3s. That's not going to be there against San Antonio that's been playing great defense against a three-point shot. So, I mean, ready for this? So the Spurs, I just said, are a team that they put hella pressure on the perimeter, force you inside to take shots on the interior. Look at Memphis efficiency numbers from the 3 interior zones, mid-range, short mid-range, paint. 30th, 27th, 29th. If you force Memphis inside the three-point line, all they do is miss. And San Antonio been keeping teams off the offensive glass too. They're 3rd in defensive rebound rate in the last 5, 10th in the last 10. So that takes the only other strength away from Memphis offensively. If you force Memphis inside the three-point line, force them to take shots, they're gonna miss, and I don't think they're gonna get offensive rebounds on the Spurs. So yeah, I'm a little worried that the Spurs tend to turn the pace up a little bit. But as a whole, I think the Spurs cover the number 2. So I think the Spurs cover the 6, but I just placed that. I feel more comfortable on that. Memphis team total. What was that? 105.5, right?
I'm tailing that, Kyle.
It's not bad, right?
At the numbers, it makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, like I'm tailing. I'll take the team total under 105 before I lay 6 points with them any day of the week.
Right, and then like if we lay the 6, The Spurs could just come out and have a cold outside shooting night and screw it up. But I think even if the Spurs are cold shooting the outside shot, we could still hit that. So I'm down with that.
I'm telling.
Let's do it. All right. So community actually is leaning towards the Spurs. 53%, 29% on San Antonio. Next up. Cleveland, Minnesota. Cavs catching 7. Timberwolves -7. Pass. And I would love to bet this game. But is it Anthony Edwards still questionable? Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
him, Nas Reed, Rudy Gobert. All of them still questionable, right?
Yeah. What are we supposed to do with that, man? I don't know. I got nothing. I don't even have anything to say. I guess if everyone plays for Minnesota, I'd probably lean laying the 7. But you guys have anything? We'll run the poll for a few minutes. But if you guys take the mic.
Finesse, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have anything. Kyle, you got some chirping in the chat. I guess you ain't know you really made it till you got chirpers in the chat. But very weird energy. You're watching the video and chirping. That's just weird.
Well, I just recorded my first losing week since mid-January. So
yeah, he's like, oh, you lost the Knicks yesterday. Like, bro, like if you hit 100 bets, 100% of the bets you make, like, slide over some tips my way, bro.
I'm gonna place 500 to 600 NBA bets this year. The goal is 55%. If everything's going well, I'm gonna lose 250 of them.
Yeah,
so
60%, 6 out of 10 is like elite. You're like the best handicap in the world.
Elite, like quit your job.
On, bro. That's some weird ass behavior. Anyways. I looked at a couple things in this game. Obviously, some big injury news still. I think Ant's questionable, Nas questionable, Rudy questionable, if I'm not mistaken. So almost impossible to cap this game. I was actually looking to fade Darius Garland, but I'm already fading too many guys today, so I need to pump the fucking brakes. So I'm just gonna pass right now.
Yeah, same. Chris?
Same. What I will say is that you do get a revenge spot here for Minnesota. And they're rested too. That was one thing I looked at. So if Minnesota's in, I do like them, or I think you could fade Cleveland on their team total. Cleveland has been good in their spot though. They're 4-1 straight up and against the spread as road dogs without Donovan Mitchell this season. Now, granted, they'll be without Donovan Mitchell, no Dean Wade, no Mobley, and no Strus in this spot. But it's not as easy to fade them. I don't think. But I was considering it. Like I said, head to head, you got the revenge spot. Minnesota also off 2 days rest, second game back home. They do have a big game against the Golden State Warriors on deck. Coming off that 3-point loss against the Denver Nuggets when they're on the second leg of that back-to-back. So the revenge spot, Cleveland beat them 113-104 about 2 weeks ago on March the 8th. Cleveland was laying a point in that game. Remember that game? Timberwolves on the second leg of it back-to-back after Anthony Edwards went crazy and had the block to win the game against the Pacers the night before. Rudy Gobert made the money sign and got fined $100,000.
Why do I not remember that?
It was like 2 weeks ago. Timberwolves, they typically own this team as well. Outside of that loss, they had won the 3 games before. I think they had covered all 3 spreads as well. So it should be a big motivational game for them. They got a big weekend on deck with the Golden State Warriors coming in, and a lot of their games they have left are against winning competition. So and they're 1.5 games behind OKC and Denver. So they'll need this game. I think they'll be extremely motivated with the revenge spot. And I really wanted to get there with them. And the line already moving as if they're going to play, and I haven't seen that yet, so I can't quite get there. Timberwolves also 6-2 straight up, but just 4-4 against the spread when they're revenging losses, and they're playing at home this season. 6-2 to the under in this spot, including 4 straight. And they're 6-3 straight up and against the spread without Cat this season as well. So I think it's, I think if you want to bet Cleveland, you look at the 3-point department for Cleveland, somebody like Sam Merrill. They shoot a ton of threes. That's really the only place that Cleveland shoots the ball. And if Rudy Gobert plays, you won't be able to go down low. So it'll be a bunch of threes. And Timberwolves defense has not been that great. And that's the only way I can see this game continuing to, being competitive here, Kyle. I'm pretty sure you probably saw that in your notes as well. Timberwolves defense not doing great against the 3-point line at all.
Right.
So if Garland can find those guys, that's their, I guess, path for being able to cover. But I think Timberwolves take the game seriously, especially coming off a loss. And I would like them in this spot if I knew everybody was playing.
Yeah, I mean, if I had, Mitchell and Mobley, if I had Wade and Strus, I'd be down to play Cleveland here. But that's just two big pieces as far as 3-point shooting for Cleveland, which I think if the 3-point shot's there, Cleveland could cover this even without those guys. But the chances of the 3-point shot being there decrease without them. So it'd be Cleveland or pass, I guess. But if everyone plays for Minnesota, I also could see that. I don't even know. I got nothing. Finesse?
Yeah, no, pass.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on to the next one, which is, well, first we got 49%, 34% in favor of Minnesota. So community is leaning towards the T-Wolves here. Pacers, Warriors, and I did it. I don't feel great about it, but I am
you
holding.
Bet the Pacers, didn't you?
I did.
I knew it. I knew it.
I am holding Pacers +5 and Pacers money line. Got the tickets. There are some. You know what? I'll go first. There are some things I like here. So let me put Pacers up for me. I'm in. I bought in on this game. Pacers +5, and I also have the money line. So first of all, Pacers are 8-4 against the spread against top 5 offenses. They've had much more success against good elite offenses and not elite defenses, which is how Golden State's been playing recently. I mean, you rewind a month ago, they were playing elite defense, but it's tough to – you got to get a feel of how these teams are playing right now. Offense is looking good. Fast break, as we know, something Golden State struggled with all year. Golden State's had bottom 5 for a lot of the season, bottom 10 defense in transition this whole season. Pacers are one of the last teams you want to see when you're struggling with that kind of thing. Pacers also play elite defense against the three-point shot. It's pretty much the only thing that defense has done well consistently for an extended period of time now. So I don't know. There's a lot of things pointing to Indiana here. I'm a little worried about the Pacers' offense because they're an offense that relies on getting to the basket, something they're very good at. But Golden State's, their frequency numbers at the rim are always super high, meaning they don't let you get there. They don't let you get to the rim. And if Golden State keeps Indiana from getting to the rim, the offense might be in for it. So I actually was also considering an under here with a super high total of 239.5. I believe Pacers road unders, at least for a while, were almost automatic. I don't know if that's still a thing, but it was like 19-4 in a 23-game stretch. So I really strongly considered an under, but I ended up landing on the Pacers. And Indiana's a team that I feel comfortable. I mean, I feel this way with all 30 teams. I feel more comfortable taking points than laying them. But Indiana especially, because they have a way of baiting their opponents into a game. Let's just go bucket for bucket. And in a game like that, you always having extra points in your pocket is just always a profitable position to be in. So I think there's enough evidence here to support a Pacers bet. That being said, Indiana has been, I mean, they have a high ceiling, but they also have a super low floor recently. And I mean, it's crazy. I'm on Pacers +5, Pacers money line, but I'd be lying if I told you I'm overly confident about it.
Finesse.
Yeah, I'm on that boy. Tyrese over 10.5 assists. I think it's a really good spot for him. You know, Kyle mentioned the high total. I think it's the highest total on the board already, you know, getting close to 240. 2 top 10 pace teams. Gotta love that. Over the last 7 games, the Warriors are allowing the second most assists in general, and the third most assists to point guards, which also you gotta love. This, you know, Warriors defense has not been good, and that kind of lends to what Kyle was saying in Kyle's ticket. 26 in defensive rating, you know, so you pair that with a high pace, high total. You know, as long as Tyrese has been, you know, people are talking a lot of shit about Tyrese because of his shooting struggles and, you know, his inconsistency, you know, scoring the ball. He went on like a kind of insanity run and he kind of cooled off a little bit, but, you know, if he's getting the minutes, you know, he's covering his number. So, you know, with 29 plus minutes, 6 of his last 9 games, he's covered this. He actually gets better on the road, covering 8 of his last 10 road games with that amount of minutes. In those last 10 road games, averaging close to 12.5 assists as opposed to just 10 at home. So much like on the road there. And yeah, I think he's going to be able to dime. He just faced his team not too long ago. When was it? It was like a month and a half ago, had 11 assists. In just 25 minutes on 17 potential assists. So, you know, over the last 10 games, averaging close to 19 potential assists. I think that's more than enough. If he even gets close to that volume, I think he's easily clearing this, maybe climbing the ladder. So I think this one is a mid to late third quarter cash for us. Nice, easy, sweat free. And yeah, back in Tyrese and what I feel like is a great matchup.
Chris, are you co-signing the Pacers?
You know what, Cal? I did a morning show, and that's the only way I could play it too. I didn't play it though. Full transparency. I just don't like what Finesse just mentioned. The Golden State Warriors defense has actually been bottom 10 in points allowed per 100 possessions, opponent effective field goal percentage. They're not doing a great job when, allowing a bunch of offensive rebounds as well, even though Indiana's not grabbing a bunch of them. But the Cal, one thing that you didn't mention, you mentioned a lot of great points. And it's why I chose to play the under a little bit. Well, I didn't play the under, but that's the way I like it as well. You kind of talk. I was happy to hear you say that. The looking at the Golden State offense, what do they want to do? Shoot a ton of threes, right? Above the break threes, right? And we know that the Pacers have been elite against the 3-point shot. So if you're telling me that the Warriors, the Warriors do need these games, right? The Rockets have won like 100 games in a row, and all of a sudden they're like 2.5 games behind the Golden State Warriors. Right?
Crazy. It's crazy.
We got to keep that in mind too. So to me, that lends to maybe Golden State playing a little bit more defense in this spot. These two when they met earlier, like Finesse was saying, on February the 8th, that was a spot where we got the Pacers in a revenge game here, Kyle. I know that they're coming off a win. I like to play the Pacers when they're coming off a loss because they've been the best team coming off a loss, and they smoked Detroit. They beat them by 18 points the other day, but they did lose to this Golden State team. Golden State was on the second leg of a back-to-back and a fifth game in 7 nights when they played them. They were 6-point dogs in Indiana, won that game outright, 131-109. So that, to me, Kyle, lends to what you were saying. If the Pacers can't get inside the paint, and because Golden State frequency numbers are so low, they're not doing it. Golden State's not doing a good job of protecting the paint. They just don't let you get there.
Right.
So I think, based on all of those different things, also like you said unders, Kyle, 20-13 to the under are the Pacers on the road.
It's not as extreme as I thought.
Right, but non-conference games on the road, 10-2 to the under.
Okay.
So they've continued to go under. I like the under. I see it all the way up to 240. I actually put this in my best up last night, and I said, you know what? I'll just see what the market does over the day. Still haven't played it yet. Glad that it's still at 240. I'll take it, Kyle, because you got a Pacers team that's top 5 in defensive points allowed per 100 possessions, second in effective field goal percentage over the last 2 weeks. And Golden State's defense, like I said, I do think that they can play a little bit better and they can limit this team as well. But I wanted to play Clay threes under, because we know how good the Pacers defense is at limiting those threes, and that's all Golden State really wants to do. So 240 feels a tad bit too high for as much as I think this game means for Golden State, and you got the Pacers in the revenge spot. So I like the under a little bit more than the side, Kyle, but I only be taking the 5 right here with you as well.
Cool. Now I want to show you guys something, and this is why. So this, by the way, this is a sheet I created over the weekend. So this is why I wasn't crazy about it. So I created this sheet to show their ATS records against different kinds of opponents. So let's see, Golden State. I was expecting to see Golden State terrible against fast-paced teams, but actually against the top 5 in pace, they're 7-4 against the spread, 13-8 against the spread against the top 10 in pace. Like, okay, shit. And then let's go fast break frequency. Transition frequency. So these are against the team's top 5 in fast break frequency. 8-6 against the number. 12-10, 1 against the spread against